Toby just tweeted about it. Shopify released their Winter Editions, and there seems to be a huge focus on Sidekick, which I think is interesting. What's your current take on Shopify Sidekick in the Shopify ecosystem?
I think that the term I keep using is like data democratization. It's like that's what Sidekick is doing. I actually think that there's too much data in today's digital marketing ecosystem to the point where I think it kind of paralyzes a lot of marketers.
Anybody else noticing that Amazon is bidding more aggressively on brand terms than in the past?
Yeah, this is not a problem for us this year, but in the last couple years, it was a huge problem. Like Amazon was outbidding us on our own branded terms.
What would you say is the single most important thing for a CMO or growth lead to do before the clock strikes midnight on December 31st?
I got essentially 14 big rocks, 14 things that we're really going to focus on and change. Org plan, here's who we're going to need to do it. Here's new roles we're going to need. Here's changes we're going to need. And then financial plan. Then it goes into a budget for us. It's like, all right, if this goes successful, like here's the capital investment.
All right, we are back. Episode 91 of Marketing Operators. We've got a bunch to talk about. I have a house test I want to talk through. Amazon bidding. I was thinking we could maybe hit. Shopify just released their winter editions this morning. So I'd love to get your guys' read on that. Maybe we get into some 2026 planning. The agenda was a little bit more difficult because typically I just steal whatever Cody's talking about on Twitter, but all he's been saying is how much he's enjoyed Mexico City. So Cody, glad to have you back. I need you tweeting about more e-com content for the sake of the pod.
Sorry to let you guys down. I'm back though, back and focused.
What was your final take on Michelin star restaurants in Mexico City versus street tacos?
Dude, I'm just such a child. I can't fake it anymore. Like my wife was like so happy going to these like fancy ones, and it just like kills me inside. And I like try not to ruin her experience, but I'm just like, it's just like so average. Like we had one where it was like a $500 dinner. She loved it. Probably 9 out of 10. For me, it was like a 3 out of 10. The next day, both of us street tacos, $10 total. It was like a 9 out of 10. Like I just couldn't stop smiling. I just love those like hole in the walls. Like that's for me. I have a very, I guess, uncultured palate is what someone said on Twitter.
Cody, I saw you went to Contramar. I went to Contramar when I was there last New Year's, and it was pretty unreal. Did you have a good experience?
So it was actually great. I really liked it, but I don't eat any seafood. So I got cheese quesadillas. They were pretty damn good cheese quesadillas.
And like a big glass of milk or something. Like
yeah, right. Like, yeah. I didn't take my kids on this trip, but if I did, that's probably what my daughter would have gotten.
That is so funny. I'm pretty sure they're like a Michelin star. Maybe they're not Michelin star. I think they're pretty well known.
Did you have that dessert, that like strawberry cake thing?
I don't know.
It was outstanding.
I just remember we were trying to book a reservation, and like we were just walking through the neighborhood, and we're like, all right, let's just walk by and see what's going on. And we walked up and like, yeah, just come take a seat. You're good. And it was like 3 of us, and we just sat right down. It was awesome.
Yeah, highly recommend it. That was a bunch of people's like, you have to go to this place.
That's in dude, the whole like Roma Norte neighborhood is so cool. It's so like laid back, calm, and it's so built for digital nomads. Like all these little apartments on the second level of these buildings, every single cafe there is like built for a digital nomad working from their computer. Like plenty of space, like enough of a buzz where you're not annoying people if you're like on phone calls. It's like it's a digital nomad's dream over in that neighborhood.
It seems like it. No, it seems like it. It's beautiful architecture. One last thing, I'm sure people don't want to hear me talk about this all day, but like I'd post on my Instagram stories like all the tacos and ratings, and I had people be like, dude, like give me a list. Like I'm going in a few months, I need this. I'm like, dude, this is a street taco. This is not like a restaurant or like a vendor. I'm like, I don't know where I am.
Yeah, just
give them the cross streets.
Yeah. Just look around, you'll find it.
Well, sweet. Before we jump into it, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Motion, Rich Panel, Prescient, Aftercell, and House.
Hey, Connor, I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of talk about creative diversity right now on all platforms. We've been talking about it a lot. Andromeda, I don't know if you heard about that. It's apparently a Greek legend, a Greek myth. But I believe it is something that Meta has done that obviously I'm kidding, but everybody's talking about creative diversity. Everybody's talking about Andromeda and how the game has changed. We are all focused on it. I think there's not a D2C operator who does not know it at this point and how important it is. And being able to test, measure, do creative diversity, get a high volume of diverse assets is really the name of the game. And I'm super excited because Motion has just rolled out AI tagging, which helps to simplify it. As our volumes go and diversity is going up, we have more different types of styles. I know you're a big naming convention guy. I know that you think they're the heart and soul of DTC brand, but another casualty of the AI era, Motion now has AI tagging, which simplifies all of your reporting, automatically tags stuff, just makes it easier to splice data. I know you were just saying, actually, you sent it to your team. I sent it to my team. What are your thoughts on AI tagging so far?
Yeah, no, totally. And Motion's premier sponsor, we're supposed to say nice things, but legitimately, as soon as I got the video from them, because we got early access, sent it right to my team. I'm like, this is the way to go. It makes the comparative analytics just so much simpler. I was just looking at it this morning, bucketing between UGC, lifestyle photo with text, product photo with text, all these different breakdowns that we used to have to labor over to tag and automate and then break down the reports by those dimensions. It's all kind of working out of the box. So, you got it totally right. We were talking about creative diversity all the time. Producing that, I think, is a big challenge for brands right now. Analyzing that, just as big of an issue. And Motion's AI tagging system is a great solution for it. So if you want to check it out, go to motionapp.com and let them know that the marketing operator sent you. So I didn't put this on the agenda until about 20 minutes ago because Toby just tweeted about it. But Shopify released their winter editions. The Renaissance. I don't know the proper pronunciation of that. Renaissance with AI in the middle. And there seems to be a huge focus on Sidekick, which I think is interesting because Connor, you were just talking about that yesterday.
Yep.
What's your current take on Shopify Sidekick in the Shopify ecosystem?
Wait, so they just announced it? Because it's been out for a while, but they're just like giving it its official moment under the sun.
Well, what they're doing here, I can even share my screen a little bit because they do such a fantastic job with these launches.
Have they released have they released on their site yet, like all the updates?
Yeah. So like this is what we're looking at here. And it's so cool.
Geez.
We're looking at this like Renaissance painting, but they got like skateboards and there's this like pink color pop that they're like kind of branding. And then what I mean, Connor, is like Sidekick's been out for a while. It's been announced, but there's a whole section here of it getting even better. So like it says it will be providing insights proactively will be a big one. That you can get Sidekick to build custom apps for you. There's a lot of developer tools being released around it. So it's just really interesting to see how prominent of a role Sidekick will play in the Shopify ecosystem. And I just wanted to hear your quick take on how you guys have been using it recently. I mean, this all points to it getting even better and more powerful over time.
Yeah. Well, I keep I forget who put this out there yesterday, and someone said, I responded to it or quote tweeted it, and someone responded to me and said, more data is good. I don't necessarily agree with that. I actually think that there's too much data in today's digital marketing ecosystem to the point where I think it kind of paralyzes a lot of marketers. And in reality, you need to know the handful of KPIs to track and try to optimize against. I think that the term I keep using is data democratization. It's that's what Sidekick is doing. It's the same thing that Shopify did and Facebook ads did for entrepreneurs, however long ago. They made it accessible for anyone to launch a brand and a product and see if it could perform in the market. I think it's the same thing here. This is just empowering non-technical people to be really good at data. So I use it a good amount. One of the most recent examples is we just launched our cocktail shaker. So I was doing text to data queries where I was asking all right, how many total products have we sold? What's the split on repeat versus returning? And then I had it add in a UTM layer as well. So I could see what the first repeat split was. And then also what the breakdown was for all of our marketing channels. And then I'm taking that and I'll use it in our follow-up performance report on the cocktail shaker. So I know my team, I've also been like training up some of the Hexclad team on it, and like our ops team's using it. A lot of people are using it now. So it's just, I think it's democratizing data and the ability to pull the information you want and then action it quickly. Whereas prior to Sidekick, or really any of these data tools that are now adding text to like data query, like LLMs, you just had to know how to navigate the platforms and like set up the reports, which is not, I mean, you just need like anything. If you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to do it. So you don't even know how to necessarily do that anymore, which I think is really exciting because it's just making anyone able to be at least like a decent enough data analyst to make good decisions and to pull the KPIs that are indicative of the thing you're trying to do. So it's making me excited because I think it's just going to empower a lot of people.
Totally. And I guess what I'm kind of, maybe it's obvious in hindsight, but what I was surprised by looking at it is like, what you're describing is totally true. The democratization of data and building reports. And then where it seems like it's going, it's just like democratizing everything you can do within the admin will just be a chat interface. Like they have examples here where it's, analyze how my discount codes are actually performing and if I'm leaving money on the table. Like, I guess that's a form of reporting, but this is create social media content to promote my top selling product. So it's like, it has access to all your products. There's some images in there, whether they're, studio shots or lifestyle images. So like it can begin producing stuff for you. So Sidekick clearly just being like the chat interface to like all the tasks you need to do as a, it's probably one of those things where it's best for like small and medium size e-com brands. But I was surprised at how powerful they're making it.
Yeah. The e-com brand is going to become even more practical. Like the create model is going to become even more practical with a tool like this.
Well, by the way, Connor, I did tweet about Sidekick Black Friday. Probably got lost in the shuffle. I just want you to know I was doing my job. You missed that one.
Fair.
No, I think it's awesome. So like right now our data analyst is out on pat leave. So it's like stuff I would go to him for. It's just, you just jam away on Sidekick. Like built, even just like built analytics dashboards, right? Where you can kind of like get a little bit more customized in Shopify and like drag and drop and build like a slicer report easier. I wish. So we use for our data warehouse for our BI tool, we use Power BI because it's, I guess, cheap. It's so bad. Like, I think the Shopify analytics is actually so good. I'm like really impressed. It just doesn't have like all of our data in there. It's not like a warehouse, so it doesn't have like spend data. I like so badly wish they would have that. I know like when Harley was on like limited supply a bunch of, years back, he was like, hey, like we're not necessarily building for you guys. Like we're building for like, the smaller brands, but that would be a wish. I guess I just have to find a BI tool that like is as good as that. But no, I think Shopify is goated. The only thing that I think you have to be careful about with any of these AI data things is like there is some hallucination. So you just got to really know your numbers and validate it. But yeah, it seems like it's going from like an analyst tool, like a data tool. I feel like it's like that's number one. It seems like with what you're saying, it's like then getting a little bit more insights or proactive. And then the third layer is more of like a full agent where it seems like I want to dive into these updates. Like there's actually some Gen AI, some even code stuff, which is very cool. Because I had that idea. Like, I don't know about you guys. Like, I don't think we're really our dev teams when we work with an agency are like using AI that much in terms of like cursor and everything. But I had this idea, and I told Drew from Intelligence, I'm like, I wish I could just go set up a test in Intelligence and just be like, just use an AI to be like, add review stars here, hide them, and like they're doing a little bit, but it seems like Shopify is like going in this direction.
Shopify rolled that out. I don't know which section. It's online, but like native A/B testing in the theme, which is also kind of crazy. Also great for like small and medium sized businesses, which I think it's been hard to. We do intelligence tests where we are doing theme tests. So we have two GitHub instances, and then we're loading both those in and running a test via intelligence. It's like it's really just not that. It's not a very approachable method for someone who's doing $2 million a year. And it does feel like native A/B testing is like a focus for Shopify as well, which it just seems cool. I was super stoked on all these updates.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And I think like, I remember when like Shopify rolled out native subscriptions, right? Everyone's like, oh, this is going to kill all the apps. Like, I don't think that's their intention. And I think it's like you said, it's trying to make it more accessible for like smaller brands, but like for brands that need more sophistication, there's going to always be, like that's obviously also a huge revenue source for Shopify. So they can't really kill them.
Okay, the last one I just want to hit quickly from this update, because we just talked about it a couple weeks ago, is we talked about Shopify Collective and the popularization of selling other brands' products on your Shopify store. We just came out with a Dad Gang collab.
I saw that. That's awesome.
So cool.
Which is
same.
so we have a Dad Gang branded wallet on ridge.com that they're able to sell on dadgang.com, I think, via Shopify Collective. So just super simple. You can place the order on dadgang.com. That order gets routed back to our normal fulfillment. We're able to fulfill that order, and we're able to like increase the surface area with which we sell stuff, like no operational complexity. And they seem to be leaning into that heavy in two ways. So one is just Shopify Product Network, which is like maybe a slight rebranding of it. I'm not sure. And then the other thing I thought was interesting was Shop Campaigns. It seems tied to like Shop Campaigns. This feels like almost like an extension of the Shop app, the advertising tools that they're building out. They're going to increase the surface area with which you can, get your products across the web. And then there might even be like bidding or rewards, or, you're effectively paying a CPA for something like the product network. And I think that's a super exciting thing, largely for smaller brands. Although, Ridge is an example of implementing it just this past week with Dad Gang.
I'm excited to click around in here and see I love how they've done this. First off, the parallax is just so cool. So shout out on the good UX.
It's so sick. It's
awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna like come through all these different like prompts they have and just plug them into our Shopify store and kind of see what kind of output it can give. Because I'm looking now, I like build an effective email marketing campaign. Help me optimize my ad spend by analyzing channel performance.
This one is, I'm just going through the page. Shopify SimGym app. Simulate shopper behavior with AI agents that use data from billions of purchases and get actionable recommendations before going live. That's sick if that works.
Yeah, totally. We've looked at a couple things like that, trying to like improve our QA or like even kind of like CRO processes, because it seems natural. It's like they're going to be able to build out like agentic workflows that just like pressure test all your stuff, click on all the random buttons, figure out what's broken, what's not, identify what is like maybe intended or unintended behavior. So it's just cool to see it getting embraced by
the
really cool itself.
Really cool.
All right, cool. I want to touch on that. This will come out in whatever, a week. So I think we'll be relatively on top of the topic here. All right, listeners, let's talk about the next couple months. Holiday spending is naturally going to slow down, but sales volume can still remain high as you get through shipping cutoffs, as you get into the new year, and as you crush your Q1 targets. One of our focuses at Ridge will be squeezing more revenue from every customer that we've been acquiring for so long, and that is where Aftersell by Rocked comes in. It's the one-click post-purchase upsell platform trusted by over 40,000 D2C brands, and here's how it works. When someone just bought from you, they're already in buying mode. They trust you, their card's on file. All you do is show them the right offer at the right time with zero friction. No re-entering payment info, no extra pages, just yes, add this, and boom, done. Brands are seeing up to 30% AOV lifts, and when you're running volume during the holidays or into 2026, that can compound fast. And look, Jones Road, Ridge, True Classic, Hexclad, we're not running Aftersell because it's trendy. We're running it because the unit economics work and the data is undeniable. But here's the kicker. Beyond the AOV boost, Aftersell unlocks Rocked Monetization Suite, pure profit with zero work. Rocked Thanks on your thank you page, 30 to 50 cents in pure profit per order. Rocked Pay Plus, another 20 to 25 cents per order, no impact on conversion. It's found money. So here's what you do. Go to aftersell.com/operators right now, activate Rocked Thanks or Rocked Pay Plus and get the full Aftersell suite for free. Run it, check your numbers, then you can come back and tell us if you want to turn it off, but I already know what you're going to say. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about BFCM. We're starting to do some of our postmortem stuff. We all talked about this on the pod a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about scaling into Black Friday. So I just want to follow up with the test. So we're bringing back test of the week. First one in a quarter. And so what it was, and then I'd love your guys' perspective on maybe what you would do with this information moving forward. The premise of the test was, I've been skeptical that the marginal return on ad spend of our ad dollars during BFCM might not be as incremental as we'd like. That it's really easy. This is a period of time where you're capturing all this demand people have known about. We ran it for our rings product, right? So people have known about the rings for a long time. There were so many people ready to purchase. It's really easy to scale up ad spend, still have a great MER, but that additional ad spend actually didn't drive any incremental profit. So that was the premise of the test. The way that we did it was we split out the country into 10%, 45%, and 45%. The 10% wasn't a holdout. That got like our BAU spend. So we still spent in that small segment. And then we tested scaling up 50% and tested scaling up 100%. Now, what we found was the 50% scale up was extremely incremental and profitable. Happy with those results. 100%, we got a noisy read, but based on the information that we have, we think it's unlikely that that was incremental and profitable. So the main takeaway is we'll probably want to run this test again in the future to like get true clarity. But if we just want to take a directional read here, it's likely not advantageous for us to be scaling up as much as that in previous periods, at least for rings during BFCM. And it depends on how often you want to be applying that sort of logic. So that was the main thing. What we want to do also in the future, and I think this is interesting, we deliberately made our BAU like quote unquote holdout 10% because we wanted to spend more. Like it would be a costly experiment to say, hey, only a third of the country is going to get this like lower spend threshold. When in reality, we probably would have gotten more clarity around the read if we'd split the country into even thirds. So what we're also doing right now in this like key gifting period is just being a little bit more conservative with like setting that baseline ROAS. So that's what we have right now. That's a follow-up on the test. I know there's a lot of debate on Twitter about like whether you should be, how aggressively should you be scaling up? This is a pretty good data point for us that says it's somewhere in between. That like we probably can't scale up as much as we'd like. And we have to be conscious of that marginal ROAS. So what do you guys think of that? Have you experimented with anything similarly? And if you were in my shoes, what do you do with this information moving forward?
Can I ask a question about the test design?
Yeah.
So you say 3-cell stacked spend test. So this is a entire like every channel, right? So you had your
It's just Meta.
Oh, just Meta. Got it. Just
Yeah.
Meta. Got it. That makes sense. I think your conclusion's right. So you were basically trying to understand like, does scaling up during the actual peak moment drive incremental sales, or is it all the spend that we did headed into peak moment? And you guys validated that no, actually spending up during this 5-day clip is driving incremental orders at a profitable incremental cost per order, but you saw diminishing return. Like you liked what you saw from 10% scale to 50%, but then you didn't see a good, maybe it wasn't, did you get like a readout on the 100%, but it was just like the cost per order, the cost per incremental order was like not profitable anymore? Is that what you were seeing?
That's exactly what we saw.
Got it.
Now the one flag, and I'll also shout out Noah from House because he crushed the like deeper explanation, and we worked really closely with their team to kind of interpret these results. They really stressed that the confidence interval around that 100% cell readout was really big. So it could go anyway. It's plausible that these actually were more incremental than this readout shows. And that's why they encouraged us to test it again with that larger 33% kind of BAU holdout. But what we found technically is that 100% scale up, the more aggressive scale up, was no longer profitable.
I don't know if I have anything additional outside of what you already concluded, right? Like I think you found that sweet spot though, which I think then next year you can like use to flight your budget. So it's like, all right, we're going to scale up 50% from the prior period headed into this peak moment, not 100%. So I think you just have a much more confident, like how much do we scale up? All right, we're not going to triple budgets, but we might, one half them.
And this was US or a different region?
This was in, great question. This was our rings business in the US. And then to clarify the dates, it was 11/26 to 12/1. So it was really just like the 6 days of BFCM where many people are scaling really aggressively. We just wanted to tier that out a little bit and see what was our marginal return at different levels.
I respect the confidence to run it during that week, because I think I've always felt like, hey, we don't want to either miss out opportunities or like it's not a time. So I think that's awesome and great. And it's like, I know that you've talked about having the suspicion of prior years of just kind of weighting down your average and overspending. So it's like, I feel like that's, do you feel like that's like a really positive learning that you'll take into, future promos?
It's probably, it makes me feel more conviction around being conservative when it comes to scale, especially like, and then it just depends on how widely do you want to apply that. And we can obviously run this test at many other times in the future. Like we might want to run it again going into the Father's Day shipping cutoff or something like that. There's another really big period for us where we can technically scale and have a great MER, but I would maybe be skeptical about the marginal return of those additional dollars. But like for, Black Friday next year when we're planning budgets, like we have this, I think, valuable data point that says, hey, let's not be as aggressive as we might have been in the past.
Do you feel comfortable kind of generalizing that across the rest of your business from going from rings to everywhere else?
Yeah. Okay. So that's the big one where it's like you say you're giving me some credit for running it the weekend of Black Friday. I mean, we did do it on a significantly smaller category where it's like running this test would just be potentially much costlier for like our EDC business, which that weekend is 10 times bigger than rings.
Sure.
So it's probably like directionally, I think it can be helpful for EDC. I think it is. I think it's conviction around this idea that scaling into high volume periods, we should be skeptical of. And we can apply that to EDC, but it's probably not like, hey, instead of scaling as much as we do, we're going to scale to half of that. That's probably a bit too aggressive of an interpretation. But like 75% of it, maybe 70% of it, we might feel more confident in budgeting it out that way.
Did you run a similar one leading up to it in Canada? I thought we talked about that on one pod.
We did. Yeah. Okay. So we did. We ran both. We ran rings in the US and EDC in Canada, and both got basically the same result. So we might have more conviction knowing that the EDC business in Canada also had a very similar readout. And that might give us more conviction to approach the wallet business, the EDC business, in the same way in the US.
Yeah, I think, if you get kind of reproducible results across a few different setups, I think that kind of makes it have more sense. Because I remember that when I was actually thinking about that, and I was like, can you infer Canada to US? Because like obviously that market's going to be way smaller. So I feel like that's a bigger thing. But I think because you've got it on both of them.
Totally. And that's like when we did the Meta Summit, the Performance Summit earlier this year, there was that great quote where someone was like, you don't really have like a North Star metric. You have like a constellation of stars that you're trying to work with. And like, that's what this is. Like we've got two that we can kind of use to guide ourselves a little bit.
So I got one. I got another test of the quarter. So we ran our 4th brand search test ever. Ran it during promo period. Because I'm like, our journey, originally we ran brand search 2 years ago. Not really incremental, but like we kept it live because we weren't spending that much. We launched TV ads. So maybe that was 2 years ago, year and a half ago, we launched TV. We start spending multiple grand a day on TV. We're like, all right, we now want to test. It's probably incremental, but like we're spending enough where we need to know. Not incremental. Shut it off. Right. Mm-hmm. And then I think we ran a third one. Oh, and then we shut it off. We saw 66% of paid search traffic or brand search go to organic search. Really no discernible revenue impact. But we had all these like resellers, scammers, stuff like that in shopping. So like we're going to test just brand shopping. We got to compete with them. No incrementality there, even though like we hated how it looked. So this 4th one, I was at this house event that Olivia hosted like a few months back, and somebody was talking about how they found different brand search results during promo period compared to others, which makes sense. Right. There's, you're generating all this demand. You don't want to lose out on it. There's going to be other people bidding on it. I remember even like a year ago, Zach Stuck actually like texted us. It was like about us. He was like, hey, this looks pretty bad that you guys like don't have brand search, because like people are searching. And so I was like, all right, like let's test it. Like this felt like a lower risk one to me because it's like worst case scenario, we just lose a little money. Almost no incrementality even during the same. It was like a $700 cost per new, and then like even total was like it's like tiny bit incremental, but like barely. So I joked with Olivia on Twitter. I'm like, do not let me run another brand search.
Dude, you teed that up well. I was on the edge of my seat. I really thought you were going to come back and be like, oh yeah, it was incremental. Now we got to figure out how to do it at like different points throughout the year.
Yeah, that would, I guess, been a harder decision or whatever, but no, just none. And I'm so happy now I get to go to my Google reps and be like, guys, stop telling me to spend to do it. Here's data.
A bunch of data. You've got like a full galaxy of stars towards brand search being incremental.
Do you do any of it, Cody? Like, are you at $0 spent on brand search terms, or are you spending like a little bit just to be there?
I gotta check. I was looking at like the notes while I was in Mexico City of like of a call, and I think they're like, "Oh, we're gonna run it like a 20x for us," and I'm like, I don't even know. Like, what's the point? You know? So I think it should be none.
Yeah. Lately, every marketer I talk to says the same thing. The pressure's on, budgets are tight, goals are higher than ever, and I have to prove what's working, not just report it. That's the new reality of marketing. You can't afford to rely on guesses or platform reported results. You need clear, unbiased, causal proof of what's actually driving growth. And that's exactly where House comes in. Incrementality testing is the scientific way to measure true impact. It is the most unbiased way to understand true impact, to see what's moving the needle and what's just noise, so you can reallocate spend based on fact, not faith. All of the marketing operators use House for their incrementality testing at Hexclad, Jones Road Beauty, and Ridge, and it's becoming a core part of the modern measurement stack. House helps you run real experiments across your channels so you can answer questions that actually matter, like which channels are truly driving incremental revenue and which are just taking credit? How much should I really be spending on Meta, Google, and YouTube? What's the halo effect of ads on Amazon or retail sales? And how should I structure my campaign so every dollar goes towards real, measurable impact? What sets House apart is the combination of unbiased, rigorous science and marketer-friendly design. The math under the hood is very complex, but the platform itself is very, very simple. You choose your question, you launch your test in minutes, and you get clear, actionable results you can actually use. Plus, every customer, every brand gets a dedicated measurement strategist. And I will tell you what, the House measurement strategist team is very dialed in. They are very strategic, helping you set these tests up in a way where you're going to get statistically significant results that are actionable. And ultimately, there's someone who has lived in the world of growth and they know how to translate data into strategy, interpret the results, and build a repeatable culture of experimentation across your team. In a world where every marketing dollar is under a microscope, you need to know what's real. Measure what matters with House by going to house.io/operators. That's HAUS.io/operators and start allocating your budget with confidence.
I've got a good segue here because I think it's more applicable to our businesses, Connor. But so this came up, same idea. Olivia asked on Twitter. This was a couple of days ago. Anybody else noticing that Amazon is bidding more aggressively on brand terms than in the past? Now you have to pay Google tax to prevent the Amazon tax. Really kind of messed up when you think about it. And I said this was like really under discussed. And basically what I got added to a thread with Olivia and the brand that was kind of like had this question. And what they were finding, and this is exactly what we found at Ridge in the past, is Amazon was performing significantly above their original forecasts and goals. What they found was like, and this was more anecdotally, it seemed like Amazon was more active on their brand bidding terms. And on top of that, Amazon had more aggressive promo messaging in those search ads. Amazon was talking about the percent off of like the category on Amazon, which was higher than what the brand was running for their Black Friday sale. And so I thought that was super, super interesting. And what we've seen in the past, so I pulled this data because we've experienced the same thing where all of a sudden Amazon is like, what we would look at is Amazon EDC growth outpacing EDC growth on .com. And it's like, why would that be happening? And this is like a really big reason why it does, at least for us. And what we've seen over the past 4 years, when Amazon bids on our terms, they always get a high top of page rate. Not absolute top of page, but they're showing up in like the top 2-3 links. It's always like mid 90%. In 2022, they only had 20% impression share, 23, 39%, 24, 64%. And then this year they were at 60%. So they always bid aggressively when they bid, and now they're bidding 3 times more than they usually do. And I was saying on top of that, because we're running TV and top of funnel meta ads and YouTube, we're actually driving more brand queries, like disproportionately more brand queries. So we're driving more queries and Amazon's bidding more aggressively on those. And basically whenever Amazon wants, if we're not thoughtful about our own brand search bidding, they can like pad their own stats and achieve like more significant growth than we would have otherwise forecasted. Because Connor, I feel like you guys have to be in a similar bucket. You have to be thinking about that trade-off a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. We had, this is not a problem for us this year, but in the last couple of years, it was a huge problem. Like Amazon was outbidding us on our own branded terms. You know, you can go in and like see the, like who's bidding on your terms. And we made a bit of a fuss about it to our Amazon reps. And I don't know who they kind of like sent that back to, but they are doing it way less now. Cause we were pretty we were pretty upset with them about it like last year and the year before with how much they were bidding on our terms. We can go down this route if we want. We don't have to. What we noticed is that we actually swung the pendulum too far non-brand inside of Amazon, where like we were looking at the delta between impressions and clicks on our brand terms, and like the percent of clicks that we were getting in Amazon on our branded search terms had dropped a lot year over year. And so that's where we actually beefed up, where we said, oh crap, we swung too far down brand, because now we're only getting like 70 to 80% of the clicks on our brand terms. So we actually beefed up in Amazon brand term bidding, which is again a different topic here, but we didn't worry as much about Amazon this year. But I think it's because we made a stink about it last year, and I think they've like stopped bidding so aggressively on our terms. We've also in turn spent more money on off Amazon media opportunities. So it was kind of like, we're playing ball with them, so I think they're playing ball with us a little bit more now. But yeah, it's something we dealt with like in last year more than this year.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I guess we don't have that sort of pull with Amazon. We got to figure that out. But yeah, anyway.
They have so much, we talked a little bit about this, like the amount of off Amazon media that you can, like, it's insane how much media they have, online video, streaming TV, Prime Video, sports. Like we're meeting with our Amazon reps today. And we might get into this in a little bit with like the like 2026 strategy setting stuff, but I am like thrilled with all the media that they have, and we're going to continue to invest more and more there. So as long as they stop bidding on our brand terms, they can have more of our media in top of funnel. And that's the deal we've made with them.
Love it. I'll have to give that a shot. All right, you guys want to talk 2026 planning?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Aaron Orndorff, our beloved boss at the Operators Network, put some of these questions together. Maybe Cody, I'll kick it to you first. I'm going to go with the second question we have here. What would you say is the single most important thing for a CMO or growth lead to do before the clock strikes midnight on December 31st?
CMO or growth lead. You got to have your plan. It's probably going to come, right? Combination from CEO. Like it's not just marketing is not the only growth lever. So, ideally it's this C-suite being really, dialed in. But you got to have your plan. We start, I wish we started earlier. We start October probably of planning it. I think we're a little behind the eight ball. Usually it's like, it's like finance driven. Usually it's like CEO, CFO who will be driving the plan, meeting with, department heads, figuring out what's our, product channel market expansion strategy. What does that look like from, however you do it, whether it's, cohort modeling, new versus repeat, probably some combination of that, as well as more of a, demand plan, which is looking at it from inventory, obviously, channel as well. But I think you have to have your numbers and be like, okay, like based on how the business is currently growing, right? This is what we think is going to happen. It can't be overly optimistic where it's like, oh, you know what? We're going to do all this CRO stuff. We're going to take it from a $70 CAC to a $40 CAC. Like you can't do that. But I think you first got to know where you're at. And then, if you don't like it, like you got to make some changes. Like I don't like everything that I'm seeing right now. And to get to really the numbers that I want to get to in the next 2 years, like, that's actually the other thing. We're trying, I don't know how far out you guys plan. I'm sure HexCloud plans further at the stage, but we're a newer business and both of you guys, like, I don't know if we need a 5-year roadmap. We need a 2 to 3 at this point though, and it's always going to be changed. And like, I've been too short term in it. But so I think, the financial plan is one thing, but I think from a marketing plan, it's like, here's how I tweet about this a little bit, but like, first, we have a board meeting today, and so it's review, right? Here's where we're at. Here's our numbers, analysis. Here's why, right? Like Connor, you did a really good job with like the Amazon stuff, right? You can't just be like, oh, this is down or this is up. It's got to be like, here's why. Here's data. Here's an intuition, or here's a hunch, right? And so there's a bunch of things that I think that we are not doing well that we want to get better at. We are not necessarily adapting with social platform changes. We're not changing our channel strategy as a brand. We're not showing up in the right ways or places, right? That's why. And then boom, here's action plan. And it's the same thing. Like I would expect from like, my director of growth. Hey, here's how we're pacing for the month. Here's why I think. Here's what I'm going to do about it. Like I think anyone should be accountable to that, whatever level. I'm just responsible for the whole company, but I think anyone should really be able to have that and show to their higher ups of whatever their jurisdiction is. So here's what we're going to do. I got essentially 14 big rocks. I know you call it cornerstones, but like 14 things that we're really going to focus on and change. Org plan. Here's who we're going to need to do it. Here's, new roles we're going to need. Here's changes of our org we're going to need. And then financial plan. Like that, then it goes into a budget for us. And it's like, all right, if this goes successful, like here's the capital investment that's going to take. So that's how I'm approaching it. Again, I'm, CEO level, but I think from a marketing perspective, obviously, like definitely want you guys to share more, but a lot of that is going to be driven by, marketing. What's our channel strategy? How are we going? What do we need to spend? What's our creative strategy? Because obviously that's such a big part of it. What are new channels we want to be launching? All that kind of stuff.
And just to clarify, financial plan, basically like revenue and spend targets by month across whatever dimensions you care about, returning customer, cohort based, et cetera.
Full P&L, but yeah, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, totally. Org plan, maybe I'm trying to think how they ladder up into one another. Mm-hmm. Financial plan, 14 things that you want to improve. Love those. And then org plan is like, what are the people you need to do both the financial plan and whatever else you need to be improved.
Yeah,
I think that's a good one. Connor, how are you guys thinking about it? Or just a question again, what are you, as head of growth at HexClad, what do you feel is most important to nail down before the end of this year going into 2026?
I think, last year is funny because we had the Super Bowl campaign. So like we got, it was tough to like balance all the year-end wrap and then also the 2026 planning stuff. So this year it's a little different. I think hiring plans, like definitely need to have that stuff really dialed in. Not every last detail needs to be figured out, but like having your hiring plans dialed in, at least having some semblance of what your budget is. I mean, you can't hit the ground running in January if you don't like have some total revenue and ad spend targets. So those two things you definitely need to have your 2025 recapping done and like not only have done the work, but also have ingested the work and really understand like what are the data points saying about your business? What went wrong? What didn't go that well? Went really well based on those data points? I think all those things you have to have like done headed into the new year. I don't think you necessarily need to have like every last bit of your 2026 plan completely finished, but you should have like a lot of momentum on it and like it should be coming together to the point where you need like another week or two to like really finalize it and sit down with the team and like distribute what the plan is. So that's where we're at right now, where we're like, we have our hiring plans pretty dialed in. We're starting to like have our budgets for the year dialed in. We're about to get like headfirst into reporting and recapping over the next 2 weeks. And then we'll also kind of, with a little bit of overlap, like probably starting in a week or two. Like I've been doing a lot of 2026 planning, but like starting to meet with the team to talk about kind of like what I think are the big, I call them like objectives. I think it's the same thing as rocks. Like here are the big like things for the year. And then we'll like really start to crystallize and operationalize around those as we hit like the first week of January. Black Friday, you're about to crush it. The real job is keeping that momentum going past Black Friday, past holiday, and all the way into next year. Prescient helps brands turn peak season wins into predictable, profitable velocity. Powered by a suite of proprietary machine learning models and a causality-first validation layer, Prescient reveals what actually drove lift. It combines surveys, it combines multi-touch attribution and incrementality, and then it forecasts where your next dollar of media will drive real incremental profit. Top brands like Coterie, Guess, HexClad, Jones Road Beauty, Mary Roos, and many more are using Prescient to quantify halo effects across Shopify, Amazon, retail, so their teams know exactly where to reinvest. So what actual questions can Prescient help you answer? Let's dig into it a little bit. Question number 1, do I need to increase, decrease, or reallocate spend for the shopping season? Prescient shows the optimal media mix to drive the strongest Q4 performance, whether your budget grows or shrinks. Question number 2, where should I put additional Q4 budget? Prescient delivers recommendations based on current BFCM dynamics, your vertical, and your optimal ad spend allocation. Question number 3, can Prescient measure cross-channel effects, especially between Shopify and Amazon? Yes, Prescient uniquely tracks halo effects and ad impact across both platforms, revealing where to dial back and where to double down. This is actually one of the very first problems that Hexcut onboarded with Prescient to solve, is understanding the total impact across both .com and Amazon over ad spend. Prescient's models are benchmarked against $6 billion in ad spend, so the recommendations you are getting aren't just theory. They've actually been tested against billions of real media dollars. And if you're ready to see where your next dollar of media will drive the most profit, visit prescientai.com/operators to forecast your growth with Prescient.
Okay, so the one thought that I had, because we did 2 days this week with the executives in Los Angeles, and we're doing a bunch of 2026 planning. And I'm with you, Connor, or we're all on the same page here, but like, it feels like it's all kind of like, I feel like at Ridge, we're working on multiple timelines right now, right? Like our paid media team right now is like, they're worried about the day-to-day of closing out our holiday sale. We're worried about our postmortem on Q4. I think that's a really important one where like, you don't want to overlook, you just had your most important period while everything's fresh in mind. Like you should be auditing and debriefing on what worked, what didn't. So you have all that information for next year. Our goal is to have that done by December 18th. And then you have, high level objectives for 2026. But then at the same time, you bring up the Super Bowl, which I think is a good one. Like we have things going live in January that like we needed to start a month and a half ago. And it's like, and we need to be, we needed to have like what is essentially a 2026 goal. If we want that to go live in January, like that should have been decided 3 months ago. So I can't help but feel, I've been feeling recently like Bridge has actually gotten way better at working on those multiple timelines because historically, I think I've been too like monolithic in how I've approached it. Like we used to like show up January 3rd or whatever and like have not worked on the January campaigns that much because we were just so focused on Q4. And it's only now at this point where it's like our time and our team is just distributed across so many different timelines that I feel like a lot of our 2026 objectives had to have been laid out a long time ago. Do you guys feel that at all? It just, and I guess it's dictated a lot by like accounting, right? Like taxes, where it's like, we have a financial year that we need to close. When in reality, like a lot of like the day-to-day of the org has to be spread on like a way different sort of fluid timeline.
Yeah. And I don't mean to like say that like we have our full plan even done. Yeah. I think you articulated that really well. Like I used to think like we needed our full budget done like December 31st. Like we actually finalized it in January, even like in February of like our official. But yeah, you can't get started. Like if you have a January launch, you gotta, we try to be on a 3-4 month timeline. So, we're doing shoots now and we're doing strategy for months. And it's product development timelines are the longest. Those are often 2 years out. So those are working on then, operations team has something different. And also I think level where you are, where, if you're manager or media buyer, you're probably mostly focused on right now, still held it. So if you're a director, VP of growth, you're thinking, all right, I gotta check in on what's going on now, but I gotta plan a little further out. And then if you're C-suite, you're probably like, hey, like what are we doing in 2028? Like at least there's probably some part of your brain that's thinking about that. I guarantee you, your manager of growth is not thinking about 2028.
Totally.
But that's also a startup too, right? Like no matter what level, like there's some there's some amount of, hey, I still need to know what my pacing is today.
Well, 100%. No, there's no way around it. And that's why I'm like I always say that New Year's is one of my favorite holidays because like there's a little bit of a side tangent, but like New Year's is one of my favorite holidays because I think it's so cool that culturally we take it as this moment to like feel like we can reinvent ourselves. And you set these new goals and resolutions and things like that. I think it's just awesome that we like culturally center ourselves around that. But then the feedback is always like, well, you should be kind of doing that all the time. Like you shouldn't wait till the end of the year to like set your we have 12 things at Ridge. And we talk about this a lot where it's like, you can be, Cody, you reforecast the next month on like a monthly basis where you're like constantly adjusting the strategy. There are things once we wrap up our anniversary sale in March that we'll learn from that we'll adjust the 2026 plan for. So I think it's kind of funny. We at least spend a lot of time thinking about these yearly plans when I almost think like the quarterly adjustments are just as important. And we at least at Bridge, I think we can like improve around the systems around that. Sick. All right. I gotta.
Agreed. No notes. Agreed with that.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Connor, in terms of like more tactical goal setting, you've talked about this a bit on the podcast in the past. can you walk through how you guys do it at HexPad? I tease you about the pyramid of excellence. I forget what it's called, but walk us through it.
Yeah. So I was taught this framework called the pyramid of clarity. It's just a goal setting framework, the same way that OKRs are. It's just a goal setting framework. It's just like gives you a step by step kind of approach and like something to lean on. I don't think there's a right or wrong way, but I like that framework. I think the guys from Asana like came up with it, and it works for us. So it basically the different levels of it are, you have like your mission, which is kind of like, what are you trying to accomplish as a brand, right? So like for us, it's like we're trying to like bring premium, like make cooking enjoyable for everyone, like bring premium cookware out to the world. Your strategies then are like how you're going to do it. So these are like meant to be filters, right? It's like everything that you decide to do should like pass through one of these strategic filters. So like a good example of one of our strategies last year was like only plant seeds that can grow into giants. So like that's a strategic filter. So like Cody, you've talked a lot about this, where like in the past you've made the mistake of investing in channels that didn't have upside. For us at HexClad, like that's a really helpful filter because we're always getting like hit up about new channels, new media opportunities. And then then we move down one level. So like that's what I'm doing right now is like I'm writing like our strategic filters kind of as we recap 2025. Like I'm writing our strategic filters, and then you go down one level, which is the objectives. I think that's like probably the equivalent of your guys' rocks. The objectives are like the actual like only plant seeds that can go into giants. That doesn't actually mean anything like tactically speaking, but the objectives are more of like the tactical goalposts along the way. So for example, like let's go back to that only plant seeds that can grow into giants example. That would be like the strategy. And then an objective that would ladder into that would be like, we want to spend X dollars on Amazon's like Amazon media opportunities, or hey, we want to like launch, like we want to validate Pinterest with a holdout test and spend at least X. Like that would be more of like a tactical objective. And the idea is that each objective you set, or each rock, whatever you want to call it for the year, has to be strategy aligned with at least one strategy. And then you move in. So that's what I try to have filled out for our 2026 planning. Like that's what I'm reviewing with the team. I'm the one writing the strategic filters, and then I'll review those with the team, and then I will write my own objectives for each part of the growth team and have each channel lead do the same. We'll come together and talk about it and agree on it. That's what I try to like have done as we go into 2026. And then
are you able to share any of the 2026 filters that you're thinking about?
Yeah. Let me, so like going back to one of your questions from the doc here, Connor, let's find it here.
I love that one. Don't plant trees that won't turn. What is it? Giants that won't turn into
only
giants?
Plant seeds that can turn into giants.
I really like that and just like how it's said.
Yeah. So all right. So one of the examples. So you asked for some examples here. So one of the wins we had from last year was diversifying our media mix. I think we reached more new people than we ever have this year, and like you can see it in our traffic data. So one of our big strategies for this year is reach more new people in channels with upside. That is like probably our lead strategy. That is going to drive objectives in paid media. It's going to drive objectives in affiliate. It's going to drive objectives in influencer. Like that single strategy will spill into probably 3 or 4 of our growth marketing channels. So then like within a specific, and I don't have all of our objectives written yet, but what it's probably going to turn into is I'm going to set like goal media mix objectives, not like too rigid.
Totally. I think that's super helpful. One thing, and I don't know your order of operations, but one thing I did this year that I found beneficial is I almost started what I've been doing for the last like 6 weeks now is there's so much stuff that has come to mind that I thought about like slacking the team. Oh, hey, next year we should like care about this thing. And, but at the same time, I don't want to distract anybody from Black Friday. Whereas like it frankly wasn't important on November 5th that this person hears from me what I'd like to see from them in February. So I have a list of 130 things that I like to keep in mind. And those are kind of like initiatives or maybe some of the objectives that you laid out, Connor. And they're just like unstructured. And
Yeah.
what I'm actually doing now is I'm like structuring them. There's very common themes. Like one of the ones that I'm excited about is like, I think there's a big opportunity for margin expansion. I'd like to be testing shipping threshold across our different categories. I'd like to be doing more price testing on bundles, things like that. I would like to do, we have, we use after sale in our post-purchase upsell, just things like that. My VPV comments like, hey, you are tasked with finding opportunities to expand margin. Here's 5 ideas, but like the main one here is let's make more profit off of our current dollars. And at least I found that valuable because I always find it difficult to identify the 6 filters that you're supposed to focus on.
Well, so in that scenario, like I think like optimize margin expansion would be like the objective, and then you would basically assign like initiatives for a bunch of different, because there's like, to your point, it sounds like there's a bunch of different ways that you could do that, a bunch of different markets. So like then you would be like, all right, and here's the more like here are the very specific initiatives or the ways that we're actually going to, like, the objective is not always super specific, right? It's like, hey, we want to expand what was margin, what was the way the verbiage you said?
I think that was basically what I said.
Yeah, margin expansion. And then you have like very specific ways you could do it, of like test into optimized shipping threshold in this market. Like that is the initiative is like the actual tactical thing you're gonna do here. So it sounds like that's how I would like think about that. But that's an interesting objective. I like that.
All right, I want to give a shout out to Rich Panel because they've quietly become one of the most impactful tools we use at Ridge. You know how SaaS companies love raising prices for the same product every year? Our old support platform did that one too many times, so we made the switch over to Rich Panel, and the results have been fantastic. Our SaaS bill dropped by about half, and once they rebuilt our workflows with automation, self-service, routing, our cost per ticket fell 70%. Same team, same volume, totally different outcome. BFCM this year was our smoothest we've ever been. We've done the most amount of sales. We had the most amount of queries, but with routing, we had a lower cost per ticket and our NPS scores have never been higher. The team handled everything without the usual panic, and our CSAT has been sitting around 96% every week. And what I really like is that Rich Panel isn't just software. They bring a playbook. They rebuild your workflows, set up your AI, handle migration and training, and you can be live in under 2 weeks. The lift is basically zero on your side. And they're launching a returns portal soon, which I'm really excited to test because returns are one of those sneaky P&L items everyone ignores until it begins to cost you real money. If you want to cut support costs in half and run a leaner, more efficient operation, head to richpanel.com/demo and they'll take care of everything. Cody, what are some of your 14 things?
Yeah. So by the way, here's how I started. Because same thing, like you don't want to just like bug your team with everything. AI, like I have like a doctor that's like far away. So like every other week, I just have like an hour-long car ride, and I'm literally just like transcribing, like, hey, here's what's in my mind. Or like I'll go on a walk and then take that and then just like distill it down. But like that's been like my outlet to be like, hey, let me park these ideas somewhere. Like I need to get it out of my head. I need to talk to somebody about it. Like I don't have anybody I can bug right now about it, because we're in August and I'm thinking about our next year. So that's kind of part of it. And this board meeting essentially it really has built it into an 80-page deck. And so a few of ours, so I think of them as big rocks. Like I'm not as structured as the conjoined triangles of success, but it's like these are big rocks. Number one, it's kind of like, all right, these are the things that if we do those and do nothing else, like very unreasonable that we won't succeed. Right? Number one, become customer obsessed. The way that we make decisions here, I don't think is good enough. And there's a lot of just guesses or this is what we want to do. Mm-hmm. Everything starts with the customer. I know you guys do this at Ridge where you have your avatars and you're like, hey, what would Ed think of this? Right. So we're gonna that's, I'm just calling it our action plan, but like it could be more from like become customer obsessed. Okay, what does that look like? So on the slide, we're going to set up a customer advisory panel. What's that look like? Well, we're going to have a group of customers, loyal customers, are going to opt in, give us feedback. It has to be very, very easy. If we have to go and set up a Klaviyo a survey and like brief a retention person every time, it's going to be impossible. So I set up a Facebook group, 250 customers in it. I'm essentially just spamming them with surveys. Just like I've done like 5, 6 so far in like 3 weeks. Just been incredibly helpful where I can just kind of have my assistant build a survey. We've got the action plan, which is kind of the objective, become customer obsessed. We've got, okay, what does that actually look like, right? What am I actually committing to? And then to me, the most important, who's responsible for it? So like my SVP of marketing will be responsible for that. I just got it piloted, but like that's chill on that. Next one is become creator focused. I don't want to say obsessed again, but like, it's the creator economy. You can kind of live and die by that, and so like we just need to be so much better there. And so I just think about even something like a comfort. Like if we had even a third of the Discord group that they had, if we had 5,000 people, like it's just unreasonable. It's like it would be hard to lose if you. That's what I think. If you're making all of your decisions based on customer feedback, it's going to be hard to lose. You know what I mean? You're at least going to be pointing in the right direction. Same thing with creators. If you're just working with a high volume of creators and just like really infusing creator into your DNA, like you're going to be better off than if you're not, And so like this one is a little bit more broad, but it's like, what does it look like? Well, considering a chief creator officer, kind of something like, you guys have done at Ridge or something like that. We're going to build an internal studio here and have it be filled with creators. We're going to do a lot more affiliate, launch on TikTok Shop because that's where the creator attention is, like that one kind of permutates through a bunch of different channels and goals. But it really all starts with the core of that. Aggressively scale owned retail. We're going to try to open 15 stores. VP of Retail is going to be responsible for that. Invest in future demand. We're going to, do stuff and invest money in trying to improve brand tracking metrics. That'll be, a goal. I'm trying to think. But those are kind of a core of them. And then what we'll do is those will turn into people's KPIs. Here's who's responsible for it. If we don't have that person, it's a question mark. That's what builds our org plan.
Totally.
Right. This is what builds our finance plan. And then per each channel, I don't know what to call them, but they're essentially like the non-big rocks, but like, all right, cool. Like e-com, what do I want to do on e-com? And maybe it's not the big rock where it's like, okay, if I do this, we're going to hit our goals as a company, but like, hey, we want to test 10 CRO things a month, or we want to rebuild our quiz. Like those will be like the supporting things that sometimes they ladder up, or often they ladder up into the big rocks, but sometimes they're just tangential. Hey, my growth team, I just think a really good growth team looks like we are just constantly testing incrementality across different platforms. Like that's just something I believe we should be doing. And if we do that over 12 months for house tests a month, like we're going to be much better off than if we're not doing that.
I have a question on the being creator focused. You said the way that gets executed is just across so many different like teams and channels. What do you think it looks like? Like, who are you thinking of as leading that initiative, considering it's like so cross-departmental? And like, what does leading look like?
This is not fleshed out. So we just hired a SVP of marketing who starts in January. So anything marketing is under her. I almost see it as like, you have your creative director. We have a creative director and they work across channels. It's almost like lateral to them. And it's almost like they're a creator director. And it's like creators can touch organic social, paid social. Where I'm trying to figure out is like where creator sits. Because yeah, creator can be earned, right? It can be earned kind of like organic. It could be, you could use creators on your own social. You could use creators for your, on e-com. You can use creator for paid social. You can do like affiliate as well. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out where that sits. Is that next to creative? Is it the same? I think it's a little different than creative. Where does that sit with influencer? I think it's probably one, and like influencer just becomes creator. And it's like anything that's like partnerships, influencer, creator is all under one, and then like those are the sub departments. So that's something I'm going to flesh out with a new SVP of marketing.
I think there's something you like. I think what we're kind of unpacking here is like, I think the best objectives actually do span multiple channels. Like to your point, Cody, that spans 3 or 4 different channels, and that's where having the initiatives, right? It's like, all right, here, like, because like again, without that, like that's a great objective, but it's not tactical until you go one like sub indent over. And then you end up with like, and here's all the, like, here's the 2 paid media initiatives that ladder into this. Here's the 3 influencer ones, the 2 affiliate. So then you end up with like, you're assigning it per channel. And now you have like really strong tactics that ladder into this overarching objective that spills into like 3 or 4 different channels. And some objectives are like more cut and dry, like a single person, right? But others, like I think the best ones are actually not. They are spilling into a bunch of different channels and like creating a much larger outcome than, let's say, 1 + 1 + 1 = 10 is I think that's what those objectives that span multiple channels do. It just creates a lot of cohesion and a lot of people rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, like for example, like for Ridge, like margin expansion, I would imagine that's not just an e-com thing, right? Like, right, but there can be supply chain stuff, right?
There's the org level. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the case of mine, like my list is all like basically e-com and marketing related,
Okay.
but it could just as easily be an entire org.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I'm sure, like, yeah, you guys have similar ones that it's like, this is not just across one. But I think it's still important to have one person who's responsible for it. I think sometimes that's more challenging, right? It's like, hey, we want to be creator obsessed. Well, like that's almost all marketing. That's at least like easier to do that. But still, like I want our product dev team getting creator feedback on products, as well. Like it is harder, so you do have to have those swim lanes. But I still think you got to have like one person who is going to own the initiative.
Yeah. No, and I mean, we do the exact same thing. And I was curious. I'm trying to farm you for information because I'm like, what is it even? Are there monthly touch bases? Is this owner of the task checking in across the entire org? And, let's say margin expansion was an organization-wide effort. Is my VP of ecom working with our supply chain manager to like make sure that they are working in the same direction? I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to look like.
I'm much better at coming up with the ideas and then like put together. And then I need somebody, whether it's a chief of staff or COO, who's then handling it and kind of figuring out the cadence. But yeah. I do think there's got to be some meetings where people are presenting that. It's like, hey, here's the progress I'm making. Here's what I'm accountable to.
Totally. We even, and we could wrap it after this, but like I was advocating for you get like an exec, like a C-suite or VP owning the task, and then also pairing them with like a project manager. Like we have a project management team internally because I'm like, I don't think it's necessarily the VP of ecom's job to now be scheduling all these meetings and discussing with all these people. It's like almost having administrative support in maintaining this project, I think is a really key piece. So I've been advocating for that layer of sort of infrastructure. Well, sick. That's 2026. We should do more episodes or segments on each of our lists of things.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah, we each pick like 4 each.
Yeah. I've got a bunch that we could share. We could go through the conjoined pyramid of excellence.
Awesome. That would be a fun one.
What is that from? Conjoined pyramid of excellence.
That's from Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, yeah, it's a conjoined triangle is a success.
Because it's
Yes, exactly.
classic. All right, guys, let's call that an ep.
Sweet. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you again for tuning into another episode of Marketing Operators. We look forward to seeing you in episode 92, 93, 94, 95. We'll make it to 100 eventually. Thank you to our sponsors, Motion, Rich Panel, Prescient, Aftercell, and House. And as always, please like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. We will see you again next week.